Welcome to AWS for Data, where we invite experts to dive into the challenges of and solutions to unlocking insights from data at scale. Leveraging real-life experiences of what it takes to manage data effectively on the ground, we discuss topics such as data strategy, building a data culture, creating business value with GenAI, and maximizing the return on investment on your data assets. Today, we're delighted to have Paddy Fitzpatrick on the show. Paddy leads the software and software as a service business in AWS in the United Kingdom and Ireland, also known as independent software vendors or ISVs. Join us to learn how software and SaaS businesses leverage data at scale to unlock business insights and how data is essential for creating differentiation when building out world-class products. Hope you enjoy the show.
Hello, Paddy. Thank you for joining the AWS for Data show. So, you lead the UK and Ireland software and SaaS businesses for AWS. Can you tell our viewers what does that entail?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Sandy. Yeah, great to be here with you. So, software and SaaS. So we work with software companies in the UK and Ireland and help them build great software on AWS, and then help them scale that with AWS, and that could be globally or in terms of in size and number of users. And then we also help them sell their software to other customers so that customers have the opportunity to buy and build software on AWS.
I wanted to start today with the most talked about topic, which our viewers will be interested to hear as well. It's generative AI, right? I'm seeing our customers have started innovating using generative AI. It's really exciting to see what they're doing. How do you think generative AI can be a game changer for software and SaaS businesses?
Yeah, generative AI. There are actually tons of activity happening with this, and I mean we still need to remember that it's still fairly early in the journey for generative AI. It's still quite a new technology, and there's a lot of development to be done. That said, we're seeing quite a lot of innovation, quite a lot of people piloting with it, and I think the opportunities. Firstly, it can be used as technology to enhance current product offerings. There's some fairly straightforward use cases around customer service and product support, where there's a lot of documentation, a lot of known answers, and it's actually navigating through this. So generative AI can actually really help companies to embed that in their product. I think the other area is when we look at things like personalization. So it allows companies to actually give a better service to their end users through personalization, and that's through generative AI. There's another area which GenAI focuses on, and we have a product called Code Whisperer, and this actually helps companies. It helps developers work with the coding and development, and actually helps them increase their productivity there. So the ability then to actually write code faster and be more productive, so less cost, and increasing the velocity of actually product releases, I think there's a real game changer for the software and software as a service industry.
As I understand it, right? So training machine learning models or large language models requires training on a huge amount of data, right? And that means that software and SaaS companies need to build that strong data foundation to be able to innovate using generative AI. How do you think having a strong data strategy in place becomes a competitive advantage for software and SaaS businesses?
Yeah, well, so data is absolutely the foundation of anything regarding generative AI or AI, machine learning. Essentially, data is the input, and the quality of that data is essential to building quality models. So that means actually having the data ideally in one place, breaking down silos and islands of data. And then also making sure that data is of the right quality and it's searchable. For working with ML models, machine learning models, if you think there's a lot of training that needs to happen, a lot of labeling of data, and actually there's an area where we have software companies who specialize just in that, to actually reduce the time spent even to things like labeling data to go into an AI model. So yeah, those data foundations are essential. if you're going to build AI.
That's interesting. And this is where I see software and SaaS businesses are really different from how enterprises work, for example, right? So as you have said, that there's an opportunity for software and SaaS businesses to provide strong data foundation for their customers, like enabling their data strategy and helping them innovate, right? So that's a really interesting area to look into when maybe our viewers or want to start up in that area, right? So that can be a very good market for them. As we look into data strategy, right, and with any digital transformation processes, we look at them through the people, process, and technology lenses, right? How do you think the software and SaaS businesses can embed these three lenses within their strategy? And what's important in each of these areas when it comes to these business models?
Yeah, well, I think the difference between software companies is they're business, typically business to business organizations. So there can be another business in that chain or an end user in that chain. So they need to think beyond just having a data strategy for their own products and their own company, and then actually think about how they can help their customers. So we deal with all sorts of software companies. So you might have a company that actually has data as one of its core offerings, and the analytics they provide on top of that becomes part of the service that they provide to their customer. So so that would be, the data strategies there are important. Modernizing data is really important. So a lot of people still have legacy database technologies, and actually the ability to move those into cloud-native data stores and databases means the accessibility of that data, the quality of that data is going to be better. If you think about another example of a software company that maybe helps provides ERP solutions or HR solutions to customers, then actually they handle a huge amount of customer data, and in that sense, their products need to be tuned to how they can help their customers get visibility into their data, look at general trends from it, but security of that data is really important, but then actually the visibility into it so that the end customer can then make business decisions based on that data. So yeah, really distinctly different from traditional enterprise approach, and that's what we look to help them with.
Right, okay. And so when I work with customers, right, on data strategy or digital transformation pieces, what I find that the technology is easier piece of the puzzle to solve. It's always the mindset, culture, people, where we need to spend a lot of time to get everyone on the same vision, right? How do you think software and SaaS businesses can drive or develop a strong culture of data within their organizations?
Yeah, so when we think about a data-driven culture, it's worth unpacking that. What is it? What does it look like? What does it feel like? I like to think about, you have a culture where people, when they're preparing documents for decisions, have it strongly focused on data. In a lot of meetings and discussions, people are asking for data, asking for evidence. I think that senior leaders need to set the expectation for this. To give you a view, within we have a strong data-driven culture within Amazon and AWS, and we like to focus on exact data where possible. It's also really important to marry that with anecdotes. So we look at the data and then we look at anecdotes and we say, is the data telling us actually what we're hearing in anecdotes, and marrying these two things together so that the data and the anecdotes actually tell us what's happening in reality, and that's a data-driven culture. So I think that's important from top down. Quality of data, again, as I mentioned before, is the bedrock of this. But collecting data at every opportunity, and then being able to share this across different parts of the business, all of this is part of a data-driven culture.
That's right. What I also find is, for any business, and software and SaaS businesses as well, is building the right team is really important. Finding the people, firstly, with the right skills, and then developing them throughout the process, especially with generative AI, where things are changing rapidly. How do you think these businesses can develop teams and help their teams keep up with all of those changes and upskill them?
Yeah, so we're in a really interesting place with generative AI, there's an approach I heard that we really quite like, that where people are often between FUD and FOMO, so fear, uncertainty and doubt, so preventing them actually looking at generative AI and worrying about their data and their IP. And then FOMO, which is fear of missing out, where they feel that they should be racing ahead and doing lots of things with them. Neither are in a good place, to be honest. So actually, we're looking to work with people to advocate enough education and training and enablement so that they can sit in the middle with a really purposeful strategy around Gen AI, which allows innovation, but also has the right controls in place. So when I think about controls in place, I'm thinking about intellectual property, about data being secure and private, so that we talk about the large language models or the foundation models which are used as part of generative AI, training a customer's data, but the data not training the model. So, and this is a key distinction between actually putting a lot of sensitive data out there into essentially the public domain versus keeping it private, and that's really important. So there's aspects such of this, and then being able to rapidly spin up pilots and minimum viable products to test a use case. That's the innovative side of it. So we look at training is really important. Of course, it's important to hire the right staff, but then investing in them is super important. And we provide our solution architects and really importantly our partners as well provide immersion days where we'll go and get hands-on with things like Code Whisperer, so development tools, and also look at use cases, rapidly spinning up some prototypes within generative AI, game days. So there's lots of help available, and just to get people hands-on with it, but in a really safe and purposeful way.
Yeah, I mean, I really love the labs, right? So there are publicly available workshops and labs that customers can do, and we also provide free tiers on different services so that even a student can learn, for free and build their skills, right? So I think businesses can really leverage those workshops and immersion days, as you mentioned, where we take in experts and run it with customers to really learn and experiment and maybe build stuff. And the cloud really makes it easy to build and experiment, right? Because you pay as you go. It's agile. You can spin up something very quickly. You don't have to wait for licenses for long and go through the procurement process. So that doesn't happen, and then that reduces the friction for your developer to go and experiment something, which is really good. And I think when I talk to customers, really stress on training and enablement, which is really important, especially with these new technologies coming in. I also wanted to check and see how you think how AWS is positioned to provide a strong data foundation to our customers, especially software and SaaS businesses in this case.
Yes, we approach data and data strategies in a three-step process. It's around modernize, unify, and then innovate. So when we think about modernizing, we look at where is the data? Is it in a legacy database? Is it structured in the right way? Is it clean data? So actually modernizing the data into cloud-native technologies is the best way to actually make that data more accessible, improve the quality of it. It also typically costs a lot less than the legacy technical debt that people will have with their old world databases. So actually, that's modernizing it is the first thing. It's a really important program, but there's a lot of benefits to come out of it. Secondly, we think about unify. So typically within organizations, you've got data in silos or in islands of data in different systems, in different departments. So the ability for people to share that data is really important. And then it really, the power and the insight we can get out of that data improves. And then lastly, we talk about innovation. So this is where we say, when we've got that modern, the data that's been modernized, it's unified, we can apply things like machine learning and artificial intelligence and really start to innovate on the data and drive insights. So yeah, that's our three-step approach in terms of how we look at that.
Artificial intelligence and machine learning is not new, right? We already had challenges with machine learning models where, issues with bias, ethical issues, and security, most importantly, right? So with generative AI, we are seeing new problems like hallucination. So a large language model telling something, creating something out of the blue, which doesn't exist, which is not reality. And then there's the problem of alignment. So how do you make sure that the model is actually aligned to human values? It is not throwing out something harmful. It is honest in what it is, outputting, things like that. And then there's this issue with recency. So, we get a new research paper published almost every day now in these technologies. Organizations need to keep up with all the new changes that are coming in as well. So, what advice would you give to businesses to address these challenges, embed responsibility when they work with AI technologies? What are the steps that businesses can take, and how is AWS helping in that area?
Yeah, when we think about large language models or foundation models, our view in AWS is that it's not going to be a one-size-fits-all. So you've got these big general models which are available to the public, and they can be unwieldy. They can hallucinate, and hallucinations when they provide an answer that's about right or that they think's right. Which is fine if you're playing around with it, but if you want to use it in a business context, actually, you need more accuracy and exactness. Now, there are foundation models and large language models that are specifically trained and geared towards certain use cases. So one might be for visuals, video input. Another one might be specifically for data or translation. So we advocate doing the research on the model and using the right model for you. We also have models that have had great care taken to get rid of bias. So if you think that we think about fairness and bias towards gender or ethnicity, which might actually be programmed into the algorithms that are within a model, and the ability to actually work with models that have taken the time and care to root this out and provide as much fairness as possible is really important. I think the other thing we should think about is explainability. So if AI runs as a black box and you ask a question and you get an answer, and imagine this for processing pension funds or processing insurance claims, it could actually have bias in it that impacts a large section of people. So the explainability and the visibility into how decisions were reached is important, and the continual improvement of that. And that's where governance comes in as well. So processes to define how people will think about and address explainability and fairness. And then if we think just again, security and privacy is really important. And there's an area around cost as well, of course. So actually training a model can be a really expensive thing to do. Yeah. So it might be that you use a smaller model. And this is why there's the wide selection of models that Amazon facilitates really does provide benefit to our customers.
That's really good, and I think it also goes back to your point that you mentioned earlier, like having really good quality data, cleaned and structured, correctly labeled, is what is going to ultimately help in reducing some of these challenges as well, or addressing some of these challenges as well. Are you having discussions with businesses like this on this topic, how they can actually treat data as an asset and monetize it? Have you seen, does that come up in your conversations? What is your take on that?
Yes, so data monetization is actually a really, really hot topic at the moment. It's an interesting one because there's two elements to it. There's a view that you'll hear that data is the new oil. Yeah. And I've seen companies actually amass a lot of data without a strategy to actually monetize it or execute that monetization. So to expand that analogy, oil's no good to you just as oil, and if you can't refine it and turn it into products and use cases, then that's what you need to do it. So I think the data monetization also comes with the need to think about what are the use cases and actually where the value is in that data. So once we get to there, we've seen lots of companies think about data monetization and in two ways. So it can be one, to present and package the data in a way that people will want to buy it. And so AWS, as part of our software marketplace, actually has a data exchange. So people can actually buy data sets. And of course, when we now think about things like generative AI, they are really useful to be able to use to apply the models to and actually get some insight from. So the packaging of that data is really important. The other area around data monetization is just understanding what your customer use cases are for it, and then just being really purposeful around not just having data to store, which can be expensive, and to collect, which can be expensive, but actually the right data in order to create value. And we'll run workshops. We've got really good examples, of course, dealing with a few thousand software companies, in Europe alone, and many more globally. We see some really good tried and tested strategies. One way to start is just is being able to look at your data and just almost have a top 10. A top 10. Did you know? About your data, about your data, to give insights to people and market, and it's a really nice, simple test to say, is that of interest, and see how many hits you can get on it just by putting that out in the public domain, and then think about, okay, is this? Can I monetize this by either just packaging it and selling it as data, or using that data in an application to provide further insight?
That's really interesting the way you put it. So. When I work with customers and when I have come across these opportunities, I see that customers are already sharing raw data. Mm-hmm. So these SaaS businesses sharing raw data with their customers. One of the strategies that they can embed into their data strategy around monetization is adding insights, as you mentioned, and enriching the data. Secondly is, rather than providing raw data or data in CSV formats, they can provide visuals or reports or dashboarding capabilities. So we have got embedded analytics features in Amazon QuickSight, which enables them to really embed their reports and visuals on their customers' web portals and applications. And it gives a really nice mix. The customers can have their own organizational internal web portal, or even their public-facing web portals where they can then embed data and insights. Which really makes it rich, and then software and SaaS businesses providing these services can charge those customers at a premium price as well, right? That opens up additional revenue for them.
Yeah, and QuickSight as a tool for business intelligence is a really nice enhancement to a lot of software products that we can provide in data. The other thing is actually having a software platform to deliver those data insights through. So if you think about in the credit scoring area, we think about the largest credit scoring applications. It's actually a software platform, a risk decision software platform, but used because they've been able to gather a lot of consumer data. Yeah. Again, the same thing we'll find with intelligence for insurance, intelligence for defense. What we're seeing is a lot of people collecting data purposefully and actually packaging this up by subscription, but we're looking at actual decision-making software or decision-enhancing software as the platform to deliver that data to users. That's where data monetization, I think, hits its highest level.
Absolutely. That's really interesting. Thank you very much. Looking into the future, right? How do you think data strategy, using data at scale to deliver business values, would evolve in the next few years?
Well, I think generative AI will shift the market and shift many industries. Already we see a strong cohort of the software companies in the UK and Ireland as disruptors, and that's either creating something that a company would typically do in-house itself and would take time, or they don't have the capabilities to do it, and being able to do this many times for many organisations from a single centre of expertise. We also see software companies disrupting older software companies and actually providing things which is more agile, which uses data better, that can be enhanced faster, especially software as a service, and people buy it the way software companies sell it the way customers want to buy it. So there's lots of disruption there. Now, the generative AI is just going to be another wave of disruption to existing software companies and to existing businesses. But that disruption is inherently positive. It'll help people do things faster and many times at less cost, or at higher quality. So I think that's going to be one of the elements when we think about it. Strategic partnerships are really important. I think software companies working with other software companies, using building blocks in order to build a software stack, and also working with things like consultancies and partnerships to understand how to rapidly develop parts of the products or applications. So that's going to be important, and I think just this enhancement of customer experience and personalisation, it's going to become the norm as people are essentially trained to consume software and data and insights that way. I think if you're not offering that, you'll be at a competitive disadvantage. So lots more to come. As I said, we're really at the start of generative AI. It's put a whole lot of spotlights on artificial intelligence anyway, and we've been working with that for many years and many models within Amazon and AWS. I can only see this becoming more commonplace, and I think it's actually shifted a lot of the middle of the market, especially with enterprise and software companies, but enterprises to actually consider artificial intelligence and feel like they should be putting more investment into it. So I think it's going to be really interesting next 5 to 10 years in terms of how this all happens. With data's at the foundation of it. Modern, transformed, unified data is the enabler for all of this.
Absolutely, and I think from AWS we have got all the support for our customers. So we align specialists like myself with businesses to help them out with really driving that analytics strategy. We have got data-driven everything program where businesses can actually start from scratch and have a blank canvas and start ideating on how they develop their data strategy. And all kind of support that we can support customers with in training, enablement is really interesting. The space in data and analytics is something that I love working with customers. And thank you very much for doing this conversation with us. It's really interesting how you think about how we are going to evolve with data and how businesses are going to develop on AWS. Hopefully for viewers, it was really useful. Have you got any last comment for our viewers?
Well, I'd say that just to touch on your point there, there's a lot of help out there. I mean, my team in the UK and Ireland is over 100 people, and a lot of focus on technical enablement, data, AI. There's a lot of easily accessible programs that AWS have at no cost to customers to actually help them in this area. So do reach out to your account managers, do reach out to your technical teams, and actually and engage with us, because we can really help.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Cheers.